Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome back to the Lowdown. I am so excited on this historic day in our country to welcome my guest, Fran Drescher. You all know Fran from her incredible career, but you don't know that she is going to be starring in a new Lifetime holiday movie called The Christmas Setup, which is going to air on December 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and Pacific Time. And I think here she is. No, that's Cancer Schmancer. We don't want that. 1 second, guys. I'm just waiting for Fran to join me. And hopefully it will be any second. Anyway, I'm so excited to speak to Fran today. Not only is she very accomplished in all areas of humanity, but she has also, has been very active politically, which I think is so amazing and so timely that I get to speak with her today. I want to say hi to my sister Bonnie, who I see just joined me. And anyway, Fran, I've had the good fortune to meet her on several occasions and spend time with her. Hey, Susan. And you all love her. I mean, I've never, in all the 20-something interviews that I've done, have I met anybody that is so incredibly accomplished and loved, so beloved. She's going to be joining me any second. And she's connecting. Hang in there, everybody. I know everybody's so excited. Oh, hi.
Hi, how are you?
It worked. Oh, I can't hear. Oh, there you are. Now I can hear you. It's so nice to see you.
Well,
on this incredibly historic day.
It is
so I just actually, what's that?
It is. It is indeed.
It's a really special day for all of us. I know I'm jumping up and down. I tore myself away from CNN so that we could speak. I'm dying for Biden to come out, but we'll all sit tight for a little while. And
well, I just want to say to that note, since you brought it up coming right out of the gate, that I think that moving forward now, we can't forget the fact that this was not a landslide, but an extremely close race.
Yes.
And literally half the nation wanted the current president to remain so. Having said that, I think that the big opportunity here is to try and understand why some people love President Trump.
Yes.
Voted for him, and why some people love Joe Biden and voted for him. Because until we can really sit in our stillness and really think about what is it, and actually then see, I can understand this. There will never be peace amongst Americans, and there will never be peace in the world. Because ultimately, and this is very Zen thinking, and I'm a Buddhist, so this is part of the Buddhist philosophy, is we are constantly being offered opportunities to understand those that oppose us. And until we can sit and try and walk in another man's shoes, we will never have peace, not in our own lives, and not within our relationships with people that differ from us. So in a grand scheme of things, that is the opportunity here for us all, whoever we voted for, to sit quietly and think, okay, now, what was it that was appealing about the other candidate to all of those people? And then we have to start seeing the other people who you may not agree with, but have a valid position. Right. They're not wrong. They're not dumb. They're not selfish. They're just people. Everybody's just people with their own needs and wants and desires. They worry about their own issues. And that's what it all boils down to. So for us to unify as a nation is for us to understand each other with much, much greater depth.
And compassion.
Yes, make kindness and compassion your compass. And if ultimately that is what emerges out of all of this pain and hardship that we as a people, as a world, have been going through in 2020 especially, then at least we can turn our lemons into lemonade,
right,
and come out better for it, which is what I always say about my cancer survival. I'm not glad I had cancer. I don't wish it on anyone. But truthfully, I am better for it. There have been many silver linings. I have grown as a human being. I have become more compassionate to other people's pain and empathic to their pain. I have learned how to turn lemons into lemonade. And when strife faces me, I don't sit there in anguish and say this wasn't supposed to happen or point fingers. I ask, why is this being presented to me? And what can I learn as a human being on my personal journey of self-refinement? Because ultimately, each of us are here to elevate our journey as human beings, as souls,
right,
as creatures that are trying to get closer to our Creator.
All right, I want to jump in here, Fran, for 1 second. I love you. I want you to talk forever. I just want to ask you a couple of questions.
Well, you dived right in with that. You know,
sorry,
so
I just want to say
to just put it into a proper perspective. Oh, everybody,
you're breaking
that's
up a little bit.
To this.
You keep freezing.
Oh, really? You're perfect for me.
Well, yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. I hope our internet connection is okay.
Everybody that's listening to this, just know that nothing is black or white. It's all gray matter, all gray.
That's right.
And we're all in the gray.
The one good thing I will say, though, just jumping back for 1 second, then I want to move on from the politics, but I do think the one of the many good things that's wonderful about Joe Biden is that I do believe he'll be a great unifier. And I think the country just wants, we all want to take a deep breath right now and have
once
peace.
Again, and I do agree with you with that because, and I'll tell you why, and even for people that are watching you that, may not have voted for Joe, which is certainly their right. I've been giving that a lot of thought too. And, Joe, and I've met Joe many times, and he's a lovely man. Hey, I worked with Donald Trump on The Nanny. I mean, I know him too. But let me just say that Joe has had a lot of depth of despair in his life.
Yes, he has.
And I think that his personal journey has prepared him for this one defining moment. Because if you have as much personal loss, as much heartbreak as he has had in his life,
he's an empath.
Yes, you are going to be compassionate to other people's pain. And that is very important at this time.
Right.
Is he a messiah? No. Is he going to reinvent the wheel? Probably not. Is he going to listen to everyone's pain? I do believe he has the capacity to do that. And perhaps that is exactly what we need right now.
Right. Now, I want to get to you.
Okay.
Okay. So if I were a numerologist, I would say that you and I are very connected because your new film, The Christmas Setup, the holiday lifetime movie, is coming out on December 12th. And that happens to be my wedding anniversary. And the anniversary of your cancer surgery is my birthday, June 21st.
Wow.
So when I was reading it, I thought, wow, we are connected. Spiritually connected, and I'm not a Buddhist, but I do believe in Buddhism.
Is there any significance to November 4th or September 30th?
September
30th.
What date? No.
30.
No.
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
no.
that's my birthday.
Oh,
And
happy
September
birthday.
4th, I just celebrated my anniversary with my gay ex-husband.
Oh, we're going to talk all about all of this. Okay, so let me jump in here.
But the
Okay,
movie is
first,
12/12, so you
I
can't
want you
forget
to
the
tell
date.
us all about the movie. Tell us about the movie because I know everybody wants to hear. And wait, before
Okay,
you do
I'm
that, I
going to
just want to
give
say this
you.
to you.
Oh,
Wait, before you talk, wait, Fran, one sec. Before you talk about the movie, I just want to tell you that in all the interviews that I've done, and I think this is my 23rd, I have never had more people commenting about the love that they have for you. I don't know if you know this, but you have a fan club on WhatsApp, and the people are from Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Italy, France, and Morocco, and they love you. So we have to give a shout out to them. You're just really, beloved. How does it feel to be so loved?
blessed, truly blessed. I am so grateful. Even when the nanny was at its height, although it really has not lost much steam for the last 28 years, but I've always felt like, look at all this positive energy coming towards me.
Yes.
People want to hug me and kiss me. They ask me how I'm feeling. They, appreciate what I stand for. And so I feel very blessed. And I also feel a responsibility to leverage my reach as a
Right.
international celebrity for the greater good.
Which you have. And all right, so first I want you to tell us about the movie, then we're going to go back to the other conversation. But tell us
Okay,
about the
so let
Christmas
me
set
just,
because it sounds like so much fun.
I want to, first of all, this Lifetime, I've been working with Lifetime, honestly, since The Nanny. That was the first second network that it started to run on in reruns. And then we did a Nanny reunion on that network. They're a wonderful network and they're absolutely lovely people. And because these times have been so difficult, they made a concerted effort to produce many, many, many original holiday movies so that we can all lift our spirits
Mm.
and feel better about life and love and this time of year and kind of get onto new footing and new ground and a new energy and a new spirit. So I was at home in California and I had been literally in my home for 5 months. Now I'm very lucky. I live on the beach and I have this beautiful rescue dog that I got just days before lockdown. So I have a sense of space and outdoors. Little by little, as time went on, I started going to Peter's house with the dog to have a little outing, to go swimming in his pool. Then I'd have maybe a girlfriend or two come over for lunch because, and you had to meet the criteria. You had to be a middle-aged scaredy cat like me.
Right.
And so I
Temperature
began
check at the
to,
door.
yeah, I began to stick my little head out of the turtle shell and began to do things. I wasn't going to supermarkets or anything like that. I have brought home delivery to a fine art. Okay. 5 months I'm doing this little by little. And suddenly I get a call from Lifetime. Do you want to do this movie? If you do, you got to get on a plane next week and go to Canada. Oh my God. Here I've been in the house with this dog. This dog who I rescued knows nothing about what my life is beyond her and me trapped in this house. And all of a sudden, we're getting on a plane, we're crossing the border. I got my work permit, I got my COVID negative test, I got my pup, and I busted across the border after 5 months of being home. Well, this was a blessing in disguise. So thank you, Lifetime, for that, because I was beginning to get a little too paranoid.
Right.
And I knew it was as I kept inviting people over, my girlfriends, my housekeeper started to come again. I realized it was very important to mix up the microbiome Otherwise, you become like the boy in the plastic bubble. That's not healthy either.
Right.
Your immune system depends on a diverse microbiome, and all of our health depends on, a healthy immune system.
Right.
That happens to be a subject that's noticeably absent on national broadcast, but we'll get to that after. Back to Lifetime. So I passed all the criteria. I got on an airplane. I'm thinking, oh my God, an airplane. I think the airplanes have got it down now. They change their air filters twice as often as recommended by the manufacturer. Everybody wears masks. The airports are pretty empty. You sit with your mask. I didn't even go into the ladies' room. I just
held it the whole flight.
I just sat there. They don't really, they give you a little bit of food, not if you're in first class, which is how Lifetime generously sent me. And, but you got to just stay put, wear your mask.
Right.
They give you a little packet with a water bottle, a mask, gloves, and it all seems okay. And I'm with the dog. And then I get there. Well, Canadians are so sweet. And the spirit of the movie is so positive. Now, this is distinguished, this film, Christmas Setup, as the first LBGTQ rom-com. What does that mean? The main characters, the main love story are two young, handsome men, one of whom plays my son. In real life, they are truly a happily married couple. Two actors together, happily married. Well, I don't know how they make that work, because I was with an actor and one was too many. But
I hear you.
Anyway, they are the loveliest two guys. And I go to the mat all the time for any group that's marginalized in society. I don't like that. I think that's beneath us as human beings. Love is love. That's my MO. So I go to the mat for anybody that's being marginalized. And I have become known, because I'm kind of a gay icon, especially since Peter came out. Now I'm like elevated to Judy Garland status. But I do a lot for gay civil liberties. So when this movie came along, okay, it made sense why they offered it to me, because I speak to that community a lot. But it is the most charming, the sweetest, the loveliest, funny and warm and tender movie. It's feel good from beginning to end. And you know what? So it's almost an idyllic world, because it's not really about the angst of coming out and the disapproval of, parent figures or anything like that. None of that. It's a given. My son is gay. Another gentleman who lives in the community, his son is gay. I fixed the two sons up, and having a gay son is as normal as having a kid with brown eyes. And that's it.
Of course.
No discussion about that. I want my child to be happy. I want my other son, who's in the military and straight, to be happy too. And I fix him up.
I can't wait to see this.
I don't have this kind of luck in real life fixing people up. But that's in this show, I'm like amazing at it. And it's the most charming place they shot in Canada. And, I had to do my quarantine for 2 weeks if I was going to enter.
Oh. Well, you've been quarantining for 5 months.
That's true. But no, once you cross the border and you go into another country, that's it. You got to quarantine. So I said to them, I'll do the movie if I can quarantine with my dear friends, Dan Aykroyd and Donna Dixon, because they were holed up in their compound, also in Canada, on a lake. So here's this dog on a plane for the first time in her life. And then, we're getting in a car, and then we're going to the Aykroyd's property, and she's seeing squirrels. I don't have squirrels, and, on
the dog
the beach.
is chasing the squirrels.
Oh my God, she swam in the lake. It was like a whole different experience. And I was there for 2 weeks. And then the movie company picked me up. While we're doing the movie, every other day, everybody in the company had to get a COVID test.
Right.
And then on the days that you weren't getting the COVID test, you had to fill out a whole form about how you're feeling. And then they take your temperature.
Ay.
By the way, if you have to go off into any place where they constantly ask you to take your temperature, do it on the wrist. Don't do it here, because that is radiation going into the pineal gland.
Oh, you mean on that screen they make you get close to? Oh,
that's
my God.
the third eye, and you don't need that there because you need this here. And you need to always kind of take care of that and make it all nice. So,
I want to talk about that for a second.
Just because they do it on my wrist and they're fine with that. Same difference.
Right. Fran, I want to just jump into another conversation for 1 second. I was at your house in Malibu when we met for the first time through Susan Holland. And you spoke about Cancer Schmancer and the work that you're doing, which has been just extraordinary. And speaking of Buddhism, which I think is related to my question, you feel strongly, and I agree with you, that cancer is a lot of it is caused by unexpressed anger, pain, things that we're not dealing with, that we hold on to instead of expressing. And
it's usually a trifecta, Lois. It's usually a combination of either profound trauma, stress,
which you experience,
environmental toxins, and internal dis-ease that could also be, those genes to express themselves in a negative or more fragile way.
Right. So you obviously had an extremely violent act in your life, and
yes, I was raped at gunpoint by a strange man in my own home who happened to be on parole.
I mean, it's a horrific story, and I know you didn't speak about it for many years, and then you finally did. Was it right after you were diagnosed and had the surgery? And did you make that connection then? Is that when you got more involved?
No, it was prior to that. When I was doing the nanny, it was in maybe which was, I guess, like 10 years later, or yes. I wrote a book, which is still available, called Enter Whining. I think it's still available.
Mm-hmm.
Enter Whining. In that book, I wrote a chapter called Bad Things Happen to Good People. That book was a New York Times bestseller. And when I went on my book tour around the country, I cannot tell you how many people asked me to sign that chapter. So, I realize that with fame does come responsibility. And no one leaves this planet unscathed, Lois. So, we all go through stuff.
Absolutely.
And on one random Tuesday afternoon, when life bites you on the butt and everything changes forever,
mm-hmm.
you're going to kick and scream and say, "Why me, Lord?" But then eventually you're going to have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and play the hand that's been dealt you, and play it as elegantly and courageously as you possibly can. And that's when you choose life.
Right.
And whatever it is, you move in that direction. It's not what you thought was going to be. It's what is. And that's the game of life.
Well, what you've done
the hard way.
What you've done for a lot of people is beautiful, because I think that your strength and your ability to share your story has helped an enormous amount of people.
And it's helped me too.
Right. I relate.
Good to keep it inside. See, I wasn't good about handling the rape as much as when I had the cancer, because with the rape, I was still that woman who was like um, pushing down my pain and getting on with it and trying to be strong for everyone else and not allowing myself to be vulnerable, not allowing myself to feel my own excruciating pain. It's very different now, my life experience, because after the rape, eventually I started going into therapy. I started getting in touch with my feelings. Now, I'd go to I went to a very serious psychotherapist, very intelligent older woman who was very Jungian and in her practice. And I would lie on a couch. I would cry my eyes out. But when I first started going, I would like have a little, hit off the, like a joint, a pop. Right. And she said to me, look, if you're coming in here, this is not about numbing yourself from your feelings. This is about feeling your feelings. So you can't come in here stoned. And I had gotten used to numbing myself from my feelings. Take the edge off.
Right.
And now I've gotten used to sitting with the edge, understanding what I'm feeling, allowing it to come out. And, I had a woman in my life who I met when I was 20 years old. And she was a very brilliant, very stylish, wonderful woman who eventually became my personal manager in my career. She used to say, honey, you are my blue chip stock. And I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose on my investment with you. And that was just one of so many things that she said that I hold near and dear. I quote her constantly. She was a wise old owl. When she died, and it was very sudden, and she went to lunch one day and dropped dead. I never saw her alive again. I thought, I have learned so much through my therapy and through my life pain that I have to really feel this loss openly and honestly. I have to honor this magnificent friendship that I had with her by being authentic about my pain and not trying to mask it by worrying about what everybody else is going to feel. No, I had gone through so much of my own life that I had finally arrived. And Elaine, even in her death, continued to be my teacher, because in her passing, I wept openly. Not what I did after the rape, not a little bit better after the cancer. But when Elaine died, I sat in my living room in a bathrobe for weeks, if not months. And whoever came over, I didn't care how uncomfortable I made them. I sat there and I wept. I wept. I showed them cards from her and notes from her and books they gave us. And they'd sit there and they would listen. And maybe it was awkward and uncomfortable for them. I don't know. I used to worry about stuff like that. I don't anymore, Lois. And you know what? Because of my life experience, I'm a more well-rounded person.
You know what I would say about that for you? I would say that given what you said about her, that she said to you that you're my blue chip stock, I'm not going to lose on my investment. Her death allowed you to not only mourn her, but mourn that part of you that needed to heal from the rape and all the other trauma that you experienced in your life, which is extraordinary. She gave you such a gift.
I was very lucky because, she died. I was already in my 50s, and I had never really ever lost anyone that close to me. I'm so grateful. I still have my parents.
Very lucky. So, wow, that's unbelievable.
I am with them right now. Yeah. They're each undergoing some procedures, nothing life-threatening, thank God. But, it's patch at this age.
Yes,
and
of
so
course.
Even today, when I finish with you, I'm going to take my mom to the dentist. She has to have a few extractions in her mouth. And we just have to take care of our health, and we have to be in gratitude We have to be loving to people that we don't agree with and try and understand what it is that makes them see things differently from us. And I think that education is the answer to everything. Like I said to my girlfriend, you know, she told me this story about how she sat down with someone, and she's not a she was not a supporter of Trump. She sat down with a girlfriend, I think at a wedding or something, who she knew was a supporter of Trump. And she sat down with her, and she's relaying this story to me. So she says to me, I said to my girlfriend, said to this friend of hers, you know, we can't have all these, why does anybody need all these kind of weapons? Why can't they just have regular guns? Why do they have to have automatic military style weapons? Why can't we have some gun control? And the woman looked at her and said, they want to take away our guns. And she said, but you didn't hear what I said. I think that there should just be, you know, modifications. And the woman just got up and walked away. And she didn't want to hear me, right. And she's telling me this story. And I said something that really blew my girlfriend's mind. I said, you know, you weren't listening to her. She said, what are you talking about? She wasn't listening to me. I said, no. She said to you, they want to take away our guns. That's her fear.
How she feels.
You didn't hear her. You didn't hear her when she said that. And it's true.
Right.
It's a slippery slope. The same way you're concerned if there's any kind of regulation on controlling a woman's body and right to choose, that too is out of a fear of the slippery slope. And that's true with people that love their guns. Listen, that's what this country was founded on.
Yeah.
Because we were so oppressed by a power that didn't allow the peasants to have the right to bear arms. So she said, well, then what is the answer, Franny? What is the answer? I said, the answer is education.
There you go.
Education. Let's educate. We need to just learn how to be empathic towards all life. We need to learn how to feel our feelings and express it. And we need to hear other people and their attitudes. And that goes true with, we need to become a more female-friendly society. We need to educate people on how to live their life from cradle to grave with greater compassion. We need to live by the golden rule.
Yes. Okay, wait. I have so many questions I want to ask you. And I know that everybody wants to hear the answers to them because you have so many beautiful people who love you, as I said. So I want to get to Peter, because you and Peter met in college. You had this beautiful friendship, relationship, marriage, and you still are great friends. And you created The Nanny together. And then, you know, as Nora Ephron said, everything is copy. You decided to create Happily Divorced when you decided that, you know, when Peter realized, I guess he was gay, and that you guys, you know, shouldn't be married. I mean, this man was your best friend, as I understand it, and probably still is. And you know, that had to be very painful to make that discovery. But how did you then decide that you were going to, you know, write this show? Was that more of a, well, I'll let you answer the question.
Well, you know, as with all history, that was a very compressed version. Towards the end of The Nanny, Peter and I were having a lot of marital problems. Not because he had already expressed to me an idea that he thought he was bisexual, but had never acted on it. Although once that seed was planted, I started to become more heightened aware of certain things. But more because I felt suffocated by his control issues, which later he realized was because he was trying to control his true orientation. And that spilled over onto me. I found it too much. I had known this person since I was 15. I moved out of my bedroom from my parents' home in Queens to moving in with him in California. And I really never knew who Fran was outside of those relationships. And for a lot of reasons, the dynamic in my home growing up, I became a needless person that put everybody else's needs above my own, and made decisions based off of what was best for the collective. I remember the first time I was with this therapist that I spoke about, and she asked me a question when the marriage was really in a bad place and we were still working together on the nanny. And she asked me a question, and I said, well, Peter thinks. And she said, I didn't ask you what Peter thinks. I asked you what you thought. And I could not wrap my mind around what I thought because I had never processed any problem.
How long had you been married at that point?
We got married at 21, and at that point I was probably like 39.
All right, wow.
So a long time.
Right.
And, you know, and we had been together since we were 15. We both remember vividly the very moment we first laid eyes on each other. I was walking up the stairs and he was coming down at Hillcrest High School in Jamaica, Queens. And we were both in 10th grade. So we were 15 years old. That was the first time
I thought it was college. That's unbelievable.
So when I finally wanted to get out of the marriage, and at first it was a separation, he didn't want it. He didn't want it. He didn't want it. He didn't want it. He loved me. Both his parents were dead already. He was an only child. I was his only family. My parents were his only parents. And he had massive abandonment issues over it. And for me, who had never put my feelings over and above other people's, let alone hurting them so profoundly, it was like walking through fire. But I was already in therapy, and I had already understood that I needed to recalibrate a little bit. I needed to make room for me in my own life and not put me on a back burner constantly for what was best for the collective.
Right.
So to save myself in what appeared to be a very garden variety midlife crisis, I left with him standing on the front lawn crying, "Don't go."
Oh.
I pulled out of the home that I had once described as my dream house, and to this day regret that we had to sell it. But he was so angry at me that it was very difficult to definitely difficult to work with him. But Elaine kept saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You've invested all this time in each other. Don't let the show suffer for it. Put the relationship on a new shelf. Reinvent. Well, he wasn't talking to me. And as soon as the series ended, like a year or two later, he moved to New York, could not get far enough away from me, wasn't speaking to me still. It was very painful for me, but he had his journey and I had mine. And we were untangling what was essentially a very unhealthy and codependent relationship. Right. When I got cancer, I was finally diagnosed with cancer after 2 years and 8 doctors of misdiagnosis. 1 year after the nanny ended in the year 2000, our manager, Elaine, our dear manager and friend, called Peter in New York and said, Peter, Fran has cancer. And in that moment, he burst into tears. And all of his
Oh.
anger melted away. And all that was left was the love. And from that moment, we started to rebuild our friendship. And now, and it was years after that, we started to write the movie Happily Divorced. And then I got a call from TV Land, and they said to me, they want to be in business with me. Let's, what ideas do you have to write and produce? And I went in with a shopping bag full of ideas that I thought would be good. And the guy said to me, what show you would want to star in? And I said, oh, that's easy. That would be exploring the relationship between me and my gay ex-husband. And I said, now do you want to hear the ideas that I brought? And he said, no, I just bought that one. And that was the beginning of Happily Divorced. And that is going back, like, at this point, 7 or 8 years ago. So, it's, and I'm 20 years well. So we were building back our friendship and not really working together as a creative team, but always still connected through the Nanny television series. Right. And becoming friends again. But he was doing his thing and I was doing my thing. Still being autonomous that way. But very gradually, we started to take vacations together. Separate hotel rooms. Initially not really knowing how to do it and sort of slipping into our old ways. Like he'd get annoyed at me that I was running late. And I said, Peter, we're not married anymore. You want to go? Go. I'll meet you there. He had to get it in his head.
Right.
We're two separate people now. And then eventually we got really good at being two separate people that enjoyed each other's company and were friends. But if we start to get on each other's nerves, we say, you know what, I'm hanging up or I'm going back, I'm going home or whatever. We retreat into our own space, which we never did when we were married.
You're so lucky that you have found that, very, very lucky. Now, I just want to tell you that I was very lucky.
But it takes a concerted effort, and I highly recommend anyone that started in one type of a relationship to try and reinvent it. Sometimes we fall in love with someone, and we assume marriage is the next likely place to go with the relationship. Look, Peter and I came from a very provincial background, so that seemed natural to us. Probably that wasn't the right conclusion. We had to figure that out over time. And, in a way, maybe we were blessed because we got married so young. We missed the whole AIDS thing. We never slept with other people.
Wow.
We were always with each other.
Right.
So in that regard, I think that, our destiny was to be with each other, even though in his heart of hearts, he was attracted to men. He loved me. And we were having a lot of sex. So don't ask me.
Hey.
I don't know.
It's a special relationship. Let's just put it that way.
Everybody's relationship is special behind closed doors.
Right.
It doesn't look anything like it is in the movies.
That's for sure.
Everybody's story is different.
I want to move to something else. I want to move to Broadway because I was very lucky and got to see you in Cinderella with my youngest daughter. My older daughter was working for Scooter Braun at the time and knew Carly Rae. So she got us these amazing seats and backstage passes. But I was there. I think it was a matinee performance. And it was the day that the Giant, was it a Giant at the beginning? That he went down?
You were there.
Do you remember he went down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was, and they stopped the show for a little while. I just have
that
to tell
is
you,
live theater, baby.
That's live theater, exactly. And as an actor, I know that well. But I was just, we were scared. The whole audience was holding their breath.
Have you ever heard of the Alexander technique?
Of course, yes.
Well,
I trained
he,
with the Alexander technique.
okay, good. I've been a student of that myself. And it's very, very helpful. And
But what happened
I
to him
he became an Alexander technique, teacher
after the accident?
because he, it helped his body so much after that fall.
Wow. Wow, that was really, it was
He's
scary.
not a
Anyway,
he's
came
not a
backstage. I'm sure you
dancer.
don't remember of all the performances, but you were so gracious and so nice. And my daughter really enjoyed meeting you.
That's good.
Yeah,
Oh well, that makes me
yeah.
happy.
So question. I know you still do stand up. Well, you were doing that obviously prior to COVID, but do you still love doing stand up?
I do. Look, I do enjoy it. I mean, I feel exhilarated when it's over. It's one of the few things in my career that actually gets me nervous, which I'm not used to because I found, a comfortable place. But I do like pushing the envelope. I do like challenging myself to climb new mountains, to fly without a net. And so that was a great accomplishment for me. And actually, I
Right,
was good at it. And I was booked to do a lot of stuff when COVID hit and everything got canceled all over the country.
right,
So I don't know when that time is ever going to resume. People can still go on Showtime and see funny women of a certain age. And I'm in that, and you see a nice 10-minute sample of my stand-up act. I do enjoy it. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I got into it when I was already famous and can fill a room because I
mm,
don't like staying up late. I don't like smoke filled rooms back in the day. If I would have started when I actually began working on camera as an actress, as a stand up comic, it was a whole different world. It was more of a guy's scene. You had to be, we've seen, I mean, everybody's seen Miss Maisel. It's that,
Hey,
that
listen,
stuff.
live theater, stand-up comedy, it's stand-up, it's very raw. I mean, it's just you out
It
there.
is.
So
It
it's
is.
the
And you
most
have
raw
to
that you could
face your
possibly be.
fear. And
Right.
you face your fear every night. And, but, you know, I'm, I walk out and the audience is already paying to see me. So we already have that love between us.
Right.
So that does help take the curse off of the oh my God, because I can laugh along with them if I screw up something and just be, naked in my imperfection with
Well,
them.
I want to next
But for
when
the
this is
most
all
part,
over, I
I
can't
do
wait to
good.
see you do something like that. You have a fan named Angelica. I'm going to shout out to her, and she asked me to ask you what inspired the lyrics to your song "An Eye for an Eye."
Okay, now Angelica, that was originally sung by this, believe it or not, Tasmanian band. I heard the song and I started singing it to my boyfriend at the time, who is a Grammy winning, um, mixing engineer. I can't remember what it's called now. I feel
Right.
bad, but mastering engineer. Lurson Mastering is his company, and I was dating him at the time. So he said, you sound amazing when you do that. And Peter always said I can't sing, so he didn't really give
I
me
listened
confidence.
to it. I thought it was wonderful.
But Gavin, who was in the music business, he thought it was good. So he said, let's record it. And that's how it all happened. And we got
It's
permission
interesting
to
because
use the song.
you have a very smoky, beautiful voice, singing voice, like which is
Yeah,
you have
I
that
find
smoky
a
kind of voice.
register in this that's less
But your singing
comical.
voice is different than your speaking voice. It was everybody should
Right.
listen to it. An Eye for an Eye. It was really beautiful.
It's on
Yeah.
iTunes. It's
So,
on
all
there.
right, and then you have another
That's
fan named
another thing that
Anna.
I did. I like to do different
Yeah.
things.
Your friend Anna asked me to ask you, is there anything, looking back on your career, is there anything you would do differently?
In my career.
Yes, specifically your career.
Gee, I don't think so, because everything that I may have done that I didn't do right was an opportunity for me to grow and learn. So I don't like to have regrets. And I learned that the hard way, because I did screw up an audition very early in my career, and coming home from it, I thought, "Oh my God, I don't this feeling is worse than if I just dived in and didn't get in my way and didn't get self-conscious." And I got to just always give 150% of myself at least, because this feeling of regret that I didn't is far worse. So that taught
It's
me not to.
always worse when you walk out of the audition not feeling good than it is not getting the job. If you did a great audition and you don't get the job, you feel like I
Right,
did my best. But when you don't do a good
exactly.
job, yeah, it's the worst.
So that was a lesson learned. And then after that, I never got self-conscious or embarrassed or held back again.
Well,
And
good
that
for
was,
you.
and
You need
that's a
to, whatever
start.
that is that you learned, you got to sell, you got to bottle that and sell it, because there are a lot of actors out there that would like to have a little of that. So,
Well,
man,
listen,
you're very busy.
opportunity always knocks, but what you do with it
Right.
is up to you. And if you're going to get
Yeah.
into your own way, then you have to become mindful of that. And that's part of the growth, to change.
Right.
What time is it? Because I do
Fran,
it.
like
What?
we have to go in a second. I have two more questions and then I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
So,
But just tell me what time
you're
it
a
is,
very
because my
busy.
mother does have dental surgery. Just tell me what time it is.
12:52. It's
1 o'clock. Okay.
12:52.
Okay. It's okay. Eight
Are
minutes
we
to one.
okay?
Okay.
Okay.
We're okay for two more
You're really
questions. I'll make
busy
it
with
brief.
your, okay, you're writing, you're acting, you're advocating, you're producing. At one point, you thought about getting into politics, which, by the way, as you know, we need a new mayor in New York desperately. So maybe you could come to New York and be the mayor, though you don't have time. And you've even gotten ordained to be a minister so that you could perform mostly for gay marriages. How do you manage to do it all?
I dabble. I want the experience. I do it. I enjoy it. I don't obsess on having to be the best at it, or, constantly do it. I do it. And then I want to do something else. I like a lot of diversity. So for me, I like that. That's why just being an actress would never be enough for me. I would get very bored. And I actually did make a law in Washington, and I did earn the vetted position of public diplomacy envoy for the U.S. State Department, where I went to all our allied nations and talked about health. I don't want to forget to mention that I am the founder of the Cancer Schmancer movement, and I urge everybody to go to cancerschmancer.org, because there is a lot of information on that. I did an interview series on that website called Corona Care for You, and you can see a lot of big minded, outside of the box, brilliant doctors from all over the world that I interview, giving you very practical tips on how to not get COVID and how to not get COVID seriously if you do get it, and how to bolster your immune system, and how you live equals how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So you are the change. You must become more mindful of how you are living. Don't let big business manufacturers dictate your life for you. Use your hard-earned dollars to shift irresponsible manufacturing practices, because how we live equals how we feel. So go organic, go eco-friendly. Let's start loving the planet and everything
No
on it.
plastic.
But
I know you were at my house for the Plastic Pollution Coalition event.
yep,
You
you
know,
have to reduce, 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 reduce. I have water in glass bottles, because this plastic is going to bury us.
That's right.
And glass is so clean, it melts down and becomes something else. It's a beautiful
Yes.
closed system. With plastic, it's not closed. There's nowhere to put it.
Right.
You know, you buy a little box of berries in 2 meals, and then the box is here for 1,000 years. It's like, that's crazy. Or a single, you know, drinking thing. No.
It is amazing, though.
There's a lot that happened in the 20th century, environmentally, through the Industrial Revolution and medicine, that we have to start questioning and challenging ourselves, looking at a much broader spectrum.
Right.
So go to cancerschmancer.org. And then also, I'm now the new Color Only girl. Go to coloronly.com and learn how, you know, you can use a brand new thing. I mean, my hair, they invented this color that is so, makes your hair feels like virgin hair. It only stays on for 10 minutes and it's permanent.
What is it
never
called?
heard anything like this.
What is it called?
Color Only.
Color Only. Okay.
Color Only.
Okay, see, we have an advertisement for Color Only.
Yeah, I'm the spokesperson. They're just opening their business now, and you can order it online, and they'll ship it to your home and do it yourself.
I'm ordering it when we get off this call.
If you live in Coral Springs, I think, in southern Florida, they have one store there called Color Only, and have somebody else do it. Find your perfect color, because they mix it with this amazing computer system.
Right.
Exactly what you want.
Okay. I'm doing it. All right. I have one last question for you, because I know you have to go attend to your mom. If you could give your younger self some advice, what might that be?
You're going to go through a lot of stuff. You're going to come out of it the other side better for it. Hang in. Keep positive. And apply your gifts for the greater good. And your life will have great value and purpose.
Good one. That's a really beautiful note to end on. Fran, thank you so much for being here with me today. You are just beautiful inside and out. And I thank you so much for giving me an hour of your time. And we're all so busy. Just stay safe and healthy, and namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all. And think peace, and go to cancerschmancer.org, because it could really make the difference in you and your family.
Yes, and everybody, go to Cancer Schmancer, and don't forget December 12th to watch the Christmas setup on Lifetime at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and 8 p.m. Pacific Time.
And Pacific, 8 o'clock, 12/12 on Lifetime.
Okay. Take care. All good things.
Bye-bye. Be well.